Why are you here today? What's this protest about?
This protest is standing against the unfair treatment of the federal government that is taxing us to death. Literally, every Canadian is being taxed to death right now, and we need to come in unity against this narrative that wants to destroy our country.
Have you experienced any hardships due to climate change?
Due to fraudulent climate change, yes. I have, actually. Fraudulent climate change, criminal government, fraudulent COVID shots. It's just an abundance of things.
This is goosebumpy. It is like the super mega most awesomest thing you can do. If you want to get inspired, you want to feel pride, be here. And if you don't want to come here, I got to call you Justin.
Angelica Toy for Rebel News here with Robert Krychik, and it is April 13th. We are just west of Calgary on the Highway 1 and 22 interchange, where a protest against the carbon tax has been taking place for 13 days now. Can you believe it? On April 1st, the carbon tax hike came into effect. This has sparked outrage amongst the people, so they have been out here making their voices heard to put a stop to this outrageous carbon tax.
By folks out there who are worried about affordability, who are worried about climate change. And I don't know, my perspective is this is a time to actually do more to fight climate change, not less. To do more to put money in people's pockets. And it's not a handful of conservative politicians and premiers that are going to turn me away from continuing the fight against climate change, the fight for a better future, and the fight to put more money in people's pockets.
On day one of the protest, the ralliers blocked a lane on the highway, backing up traffic around 3 kilometers back into the city of Calgary. In response to this, on day two, RCMP presence took the scene with just under 100 officers in riot gear, blocking the protesters from once again blocking a lane.
So we were here last Saturday, like I said, and we noticed this drone that was up in the air for hours, pretty high above, and it seemed to be the case that there was an RCMP team managing that drone. Now, ask yourselves if you think that's a worthwhile expenditure of taxpayer money, law enforcement resources being deployed to surveil an obviously peaceful demonstration.
Not only that, but there is a spy vehicle just 500 meters down from the protest, keeping a close eye on the protesters. Let's take you guys on a tour, see what people have to say, and see what's all around here. How has climate change affected you?
Hasn't.
I think there's a lot of misinformation about climate change, so I don't think it's really impacted me at all, but the lies are.
Why don't you tell me why you're here? What's your rationale for being at the demonstration?
We are here because we are completely sick of the carbon tax, and we are here for everybody who is struggling to pay their rent, to pay for food for their families, and who are just, everyone's down in the dumps right now. Nobody can live and have a life. Everybody works their butt off, and all their money goes to what?
Well, it's important to be here and show your support, because what they're doing with the carbon tax, like they tripled the carbon tax in the last couple of years, which has driven the price of gas up, which has driven the price of groceries up. $300 used to be enough to get us, a family of 4, through the month. Now it's $300 every 2 weeks. And that's doubled. Meat is almost astronomical. We haven't eaten steak in I don't know how long. We try to buy from local farmers with meat and things, because we're finding that it's just cheaper. We're trying to grow as much as we can in our own backyard, because the cost of vegetables is sky high. Even the cost to feed our pets has gone crazy. And it's just, somebody's got to do something. If you don't stand up for what you believe in, then who's left to stand up when there's nothing more?
All right, so how has climate change impacted you?
I'm not sure that it has. Skiing, bad skiing this year, actually. The ski hills sucked. Yeah, there was no snow on the ski hills. So
One in 40 years that I recall.
Yeah, it was brutal for that, but that was okay. We still got some, so that's fun. Climate change?
Climate change.
There's no impact.
Due to fraudulent climate change, yes. I have, actually. Fraudulent climate change, criminal government, fraudulent COVID shots. It's just an abundance of things. And everybody's suffering from it, not just me, everybody. Right from the top, not the elite top, but under there down.
So we're going to show you a little food, refreshment, sustenance tent. There are several of them, by the way, over at this demonstration. Let's open this up and see what's going on. This is not a prop. This actually was closed when I got here. Nothing fake here. It's all real news all day long. Okay. What do we got here? We got eggs. We got way too many carbohydrate calories. We got jam, creamer, orange juice, sugar. I mean, you can just see it, right? Oh, we got some healthy stuff. Tomatoes, potato chips, peppers, way too many Doritos, a ton of eggs. Let's see what's up in this cooler. How do I open this? Oh, it's just ice in case, you need to keep it cold, which of course you do. And again, just tons of refined carbohydrate calories. Probably not the easiest place to be for your waistline, but you know what? If you're having a good time, this is the place to be. Why are you here today? What's this protest about?
This protest is standing against the unfair treatment of the federal government that is taxing us to death. Literally, every Canadian is being taxed to death right now, and we need to come in unity against this narrative that wants to destroy our country. And the way I look at it is the country is very divided right now. But we can come together in unity under this, that we're taxed to death. People have less money than they've ever had before. Mental illness is higher than it's ever been before. The suicide rates, opioid addiction, it's through the roof right now. So we got to stand against this.
I am here because we just finished the church service, and I was asked multiple times to do the church service for the people. People need their clergymen. They need leadership. They need faith. But personally, I'm also here to stand against this unbelievable, crazy implementation of, in my opinion, illegal taxing. They're taxing us to death. Now we have a breathing tax, which is completely crazy. I remember that there were some people many years ago that were joking that one day the government will tax us for breathing. We are living this in reality, so we must, as Canadians, free Canadians, we must push this craziness away. So I'm doing my small part in this whole thing. I'm just telling people that in the end of the day, I've seen this story before, and we win.
How have the government responses to climate change affected you?
Well, how it affected? Well, it costs everybody more money. Everything costs more. The taxes, you pay more for taxes, you pay more for fuel. The fuel goes up, everything else goes up. Plus spending all the money during the scamdemic that, they just giving money left, right, and center. Canada become one of the most indebted countries. So it's just getting worse and worse, but day by day.
Climate change? No.
And have you noticed any troubles in your life due to the government response to climate change?
Yeah, they want to milk us for a pretend emergency in order to give them excuses to steal our money. Yay!
Have you experienced any hardships due to climate change?
No.
Have you experienced any hardships due to the government response to climate change?
Yes.
What would those be?
The tax increase, a few other things. Like, I don't know, they're just putting so much pressure on us, it's stupid.
Well, I guess it's not a protest unless you have a turkey. Come check this out. We've got geese, we got a duck, there's chickens, and I think that's a pig. Let's see what we got over here. It's a goat. Yeah? What do you have to say about the carbon tax? Being a little silent. What do you have to say about Trudeau? We'll hopefully get something out of him a bit later. And then of course we got the horses. Looks like somebody brought their entire farm here today. That's awesome.
The government Oh, there's so much I could say about the criminals in office right now, because that is in fact what they are, is criminals. There's got to be a change. People need to get together and stand up.
The NDP Trudeau carbon tax on the farmer who grows the food and the trucker who ships the food is a tax on all who buy the food. Now they want to quadruple the tax. I'm Pierre Polyev. I'll axe the tax so you pay less and bring home more.
All right, why don't you explain to our viewers what your flag means behind here?
Well, what this flag means is that Alberta wants to become the 51st state of the U.S. That's why you see a star, right? Which normally isn't on the flag, but that's a U.S. thing. So we sell these flags to people and they can fly them. And the reason why we're here is because the United States, they have no carbon tax at all. So we kind of fit with this movement here, you know, with no carbon tax. And this movement wouldn't be here if we were a state.
I'm engaging in some domestic extremism here, by the way. So remember, just to give you guys a flashback, because this is sort of a continuation of something we saw in the Freedom Convoy in Ottawa, Ontario. There was a bouncy castle out there that got some sort of virality, some traffic online, and the mayor at the time of Ottawa, a man named Jim Watson, who was childless and unmarried, by the way, described, and I quote, the presence of bouncy castles with kids as disturbing.
The protest turning into what looks like some kind of a fun carnival where they've got bouncy castles and hot tubs and saunas, a complete insult to the people who are putting up with this nonsense for the last 7 days, and it shows a great deal of insensitivity.
And I'll let you decide for yourselves if you think a bunch of boys playing on a bouncy castle and a grown man is disturbing.
We just want our country back. Yeah. We want everybody to. We want
more people to recognize exactly the direction that we're going. People are asleep. They need to wake up before it's way too late, and you won't be able to do some. It'll become a time when, yeah, hindsight's 2020, but you don't want to wake up then, because we are on a trajectory that is going so quickly, and people are not seeing where this direction is going.
Michelle, one last question on that, because you're reminding me of a theme that keeps coming up. So I'm assuming you're politically interested, you have these sorts of conversations, people need to wake up, you say. However, are you meeting more and more people in recent years compared to years prior that are on that wake-up side?
Everything that has happened in the last 3 years has been a catalyst to waking up some people, yes. It's shone a light on certain things that people hadn't seen before, and so that is an upside to some of the stuff that's been happening.
Do you want to tell us what's on the menu today?
So the menu tonight, we're having spare ribs and there's rice. I made homemade butter chicken and the homemade sauce. I did sweet and sour pork. I did teriyaki meatballs. And I also did roasted garlic parmesan potatoes that have been roasted. And we're doing strawberry shortcakes and stuff like that.
Dang, my stomach is grumbling hearing all of that.
Homemade buns again.
Are you meeting a lot of younger people that are living at home because of these economic pressures?
Yeah, a lot of my friends aren't able to afford housing at all. We, I don't know, we just can't afford anything anymore.
Does that include rent?
Yeah, rent has skyrocketed, yeah.
And now, Reese, we were speaking earlier about housing prices, and you guys were talking about that before, too. You guys are all from around Calgary. Maybe you can talk to us about what you're seeing in housing prices and what you attribute the rise of housing prices to.
You know, the biggest thing that I've kind of found is with the amount of government spending and with the inflation that we've seen, it's the reason we're seeing the high prices for the houses is we're trying to combat and make up for the loss of how much our dollar is worth. For young fellows like us to try and find a house to live in and, you know, even to rent a place, the value of properties has gone up so much because people can't afford to live their lives. For the landlords who own their homes, they need to pay their own bills, and you know, it makes us have to bite the bullet and have to pay those prices if we want to move out. Even to drive our trucks, the prices that we're seeing is ridiculous. It's just can't go on.
You're here with this petition in your hands. Why don't you tell our audience what this petition is about?
Sure. Well, Manitoba has gone ahead and eliminated its fuel tax. So fuel in Manitoba is 13 cents cheaper than it is in Alberta right now. And that's a travesty. I mean, you got this beautiful protest going on here. All these people concerned about the carbon tax. If Daniel Smith wants to fight Trudeau and the carbon tax, cut the fuel tax in Alberta by 13 cents. It's going to help people out, and it's the least they can do. Manitoba's doing it, so we've got a petition together to pressure them to do that.
This is goosebumpy. It is like the super mega most awesomest thing you can do. If you want to get inspired, you want to feel pride, be here. And if you don't want to come here, I got to call you Justin.
What is the motivation behind your attire here today?
You know what? I figure we really need to get some attention. And as much as I love these flags, I'm going to be out on the street there just waving people down because I am bloated tax. I am bloated tax man. And everything that we do in Canada is so bloated in terms of tax. This is my answer to that.
Most of the news stations, everything that I like to watch and where I get my information, Rumble, Stu Peters, Tucker.
No Rebel News?
Right
There we are, guys.
Right here. I like it on the front. I don't know, people ask me, are you involved? Are you with Rebel News? I'm like, no, but I like them. And watch that stuff, right?
Oh, that's so sweet.
Freedom, freedom, freedom.
Your kids write that?
Yeah. I love you, Dad. My favorite part. Also, I think the first scripture that came on here, I like this. You were born for such a time as this. Esther 4:14.
This whole bloody carbon tax Ponzi scheme is a total joke. There's no reason why they should be doing this. And as a matter of fact, Jagmeet has now kind of rescinded and said, well, maybe we'll come up with a better idea. Well, if it was truly going to where it was supposed to be, then everybody in Canada would be totally aware and saying, yes, this is a great idea. But when you get groups like this and people that are silent, that's the thing that kind of drives me nuts. Met up with my neighbors today as I'm driving away in the car. And it says, axe the tax right on the car. And they were all about it. They loved it. They thought that was great. And I said, so what are you guys doing today? Oh, we're just going to go sit back and have a barbecue, but we're not going to go out and actually do anything. So we'll leave it for other people. You guys need to be coming out here too. That's what you got to do. Whether it's here or anywhere across Canada, you need to get involved. And honestly, if you don't feel like driving out to here, just get involved in politics, get involved in your community. That's where we've totally screwed up, at least in the last 5 years, probably more like 25 years.
Common themes, common ideas at this Axe the Tax protest against the so-called carbon tax from all sorts of demonstrators that we spoke with are as follows. People are obviously remarking on the artificially increased costs of living imposed upon them by this tax and many others, including different sorts of regulations. A lot of people are talking about how they and people they care about, people they know in their lives, are more often having conversations about financial difficulties, about economic strain, again, imposed upon them by governmental policy. Also, we heard people remark on people they know, Canadians, that are leaving the country, essentially becoming economic refugees, going to places that they consider to be greener pastures with more prosperity, places like Florida, even some places like Mexico. Also, people remarked on what I asked in terms of increased prevalence of proxies of impoverishment. I asked people, are you seeing more people on the streets as destitutes, vagrants, panhandlers, beggars, so-called homeless people, drug addiction? They all said yes. And not everyone here is from Calgary, so this is sort of, at least in part, a national problem that's worsening in recent years. And again, that's sort of indicative of worsening economic conditions.
Furthermore, when we asked the people if they experienced any hardships due to climate change, a lot of them had a hard time coming up with an answer. But when we asked them about the government response to climate change, they were very quick to touch on that. If you disagree with the carbon tax, make sure to head to Rebel News at stopthecarbontax.com and sign the petition, because we at Rebel News are taking that petition straight to Stephen Guilbeault's office and dropping it off. Make sure your name is on it.